Sweden is well known for its high taxes, yet few Swedes are actually aware of just how much they pay in taxes. Swedes are taxed mainly in 4 different ways: income tax, employer's tax, general sales tax, and taxes on specific goods such as tobacco, alcohol, and petrol. All in all, these taxes add up to roughly 2/3 of a person's income. The income tax is the regular tax visible to the taxpayer, a progressive tax that averages a little over 30%. The employer's tax is what an employer has to pay for every employee. When this tax was established, the Social Democrat politicians argued that it was a means to tax the capitalists directly instead of the employee for the work performed. They often describe it as an added salary to the employee, whereby the people can be provided with even more government projects by taking even more from the capitalists. In 1970, the employer's tax was still relatively low, standing at 11.9%. In 7 years, they raised this tax no less than 20% to 32.15% in 1977. Government spending also increased dramatically without much discussion whether the expenses were really necessary. Naturally, it came in handy for the politicians that this tax wasn't visible to the employee and wouldn't provoke any reaction. Swedes also pay a 25% general sales tax called moms on most products and services. On top of that, specific products have added taxes. Alcohol taxes can reach over 80%. The rightmost column in this table is the tax portion of the total price. If what you pay in income tax is included as well, more than 90% of your gross salary is taken by the government if you spend your income on Absolut vodka. Taxes on tobacco can reach over 70% of the sales price. Petrol taxes are a fixed amount, amounting to a little over $3 per US gallon in today's currency. Today's cheapest petrol is 10.39 crowns per liter, or $4.9 per gallon. For comparison, the cheapest one in the USA is $1.82, only a little more than 1/3 of the Swedish price. Even when international oil prices have been very low, Swedish petrol prices have still been high due to the taxes. The oil price hit an all-time low in 1998, and back then the Swedish petrol price was $4.32 per gallon. For comparison, the US price went as low as $1.2, hence the Swedish price was more than 3.5 times as high. The Swedish Taxpayers Association has made a calculation of how much people pay in taxes when all taxes and consumption are considered. A blue-collar worker pays roughly 60% taxes, and a man earning median income pays 63%. It doesn't take a very high salary to reach 70% taxes. In 1976, the very popular Swedish children's book author Astrid Lindgren would have a brush with the Social Democrats, even though she had voted for this party as long as she could remember. She had had quite a high income as an author and paid a little over 80% taxes on that income without complaining. This year she was in for a shock, though, when she found the new badly designed tax system would require her to pay 102% taxes on her earnings. This sparked her to write a short fictional story called Pomperipossa I Monismanien, based on what had transpired. In the story, she relates how the character in the story had always been happy with her country, but suddenly found herself doubting its management. The story even mentions a Russian author this character had met, who only paid 13% taxes. One part of the story is a fairly explicit comment on the madness of Social Democrat politics at the time. That you create value society can't stand. The drivel of bureaucrats you're forced to listen to. You're meant to Castro waging war in Angola lend a hand, or reside in an old man's home and receive therapy do. After the story was published, the leader of the right-wing party, the Moderates, read the story aloud in Parliament, to which the finance minister Gunnar Sträng responded accordingly. Sträng said this statement in the debate showed great lack of knowledge about the tax system, followed by the words, "But we don't expect Astrid Lindgren to manage that." The next day in radio she had this to say, "But I expect Gunnar Sträng to manage that. If anyone has miscalculated, it's the tax department, because it's from them I've gotten the numbers. Sträng can tell a story, but obviously he can't count. I think he and I should exchange jobs." Voters weren't very impressed with the way Sträng had snubbed beloved author Lindgren, and the Social Democrats lost the election that year. It's simply astonishing to see how differently the American and the Swedish economies have evolved. The USA has experienced tremendous progress. The number of private jobs in the country is now 2.5 times as many as in the late 1950s. The number has gone from 45 million in 1959 to 115 million in 2008, an increase by over 150%. Sweden has not done very well on the other hand. In 1950, Sweden had 3.1 million private jobs, and in 2008, 3.0 million, a decrease by 3.5%. The American GDP has in 2000 prices gone from $1,780 billion in 1950 to $11,650 billion in 2008, an increase by 555%. The Swedish GDP has in 2000 prices gone from 558 billion crowns in 1950 to 2,720 billion in 2008, an increase by 388%. Hence, over this period, the US economy has had a 34% larger growth rate and an immense amount of new jobs created, while Sweden actually lost jobs. So, how much will your salary buy you in the two